Imagine this. A young boy on a rusty old bicycle trying to sell homemade snacks, just getting rejected over and over again. Now, picture that same person building an empire so powerful that it goes head to head with global giants like PepsiCo. This isn't some movie script. It's the real, absolutely incredible story of Chandabhai Virani, and it all starts with one very humbling moment. The year is 1982. A young Chandubai is pedaling through the streets of Rajkot in Gujarat. His big mission? Just to get shopkeepers to sell his homemade potato wafers. But all they see is a kid, not a future tycoon. And so, one after another, doors are just slammed in his face.
Okay, now let's fast forward to today. That little company that started on a bicycle, Balaji Wafers, is now a snack phenomenon. We're talking an annual revenue of over 5,000 crore rupees. That's more than $600 million. I mean, what a staggering leap from a few rejected packets.
So what was the secret, right? How does a boy with absolutely nothing but determination build one of India's most beloved brands, basically from scratch, and become the undisputed wafer king?
Well, to understand the empire, we have to go back to the very beginning, to a moment of crisis that really stripped him of everything except his will to succeed. Chandubai's story doesn't start in a fancy boardroom, but on a farm. Back in 1972, a terrible drought completely wiped out his family's livelihood. His father had to sell their ancestral land, and he gave his sons a little bit of money to try and start over in the city. But Chandubai's first shot at a business, it failed. Instantly, leaving him with, well, absolutely nothing. You have to understand, failure just wasn't an option. For Chandubai, the thought of going back to his village defeated, of letting his father down, it was unthinkable. And that immense pressure, that became the fuel for everything that was about to happen next. So, desperate for any kind of work, he took a pretty menial job. Little did he know, this humble position held the key to his entire future. He started working at the local Astron cinema, doing literally everything from cleaning to checking tickets, all for just 90 rupees a month. But his work ethic was just incredible, and it didn't go unnoticed. The owner was so impressed that he offered Chandubai the contract to run the entire cinema canteen. Now, while he was running that canteen, Chandubai had this simple but honestly profound observation. He noticed that a whopping 80% of his sales, and most of his profit, was coming from just one single item, potato wafers. That right there, that was the spark. He realized if he could control the supply of his most popular product, he could control his own destiny. It was time to stop buying wafers and start making them himself. And so in 1982, with a tiny investment of just 10,000 rupees, Balaji Wafers was born. And we're not talking about a factory here. It was literally a shed in his house. The entire family pitched in, peeling, slicing, and frying potatoes by hand late into the night. From day one, his strategy was crystal clear, and it came right from his canteen experience. Customers want value for their money. That simple philosophy, maximum wafers at the minimum price, would become the very bedrock of the Balaji brand, and honestly, his most powerful weapon. The business was growing for sure, but so were the problems. See, making everything by hand meant the quality was all over the place. To scale up and really compete, Chandubai knew he had to take the biggest risk of his entire life. He took out a massive loan of 50 lakh rupees to build his first semi-automatic manufacturing plant. This was it. This was an all-or-nothing bet to turn his little homemade operation into a professional enterprise. And then, the unthinkable happened. Midway through assembly, the company he'd hired to build the whole plant just went out of business. So there he was, left with a mountain of debt and a factory full of half-assembled, basically useless machinery. I mean, it really looked like the end of the road. With bankruptcy just breathing down his neck, what could he possibly do? Was this where the story of Balaji Wafers was going to tragically end? Nope. This is where the story gets absolutely incredible. In a move of sheer genius and grit, Chandubai and his brothers decided they were going to fix it themselves. They painstakingly took apart every single machine, figured out how it worked, and then reassembled the entire plant piece by piece. They turned a total catastrophe into their greatest education. So now, with their new plant up and running, and this deep, hands-on understanding of their own tech, Balaji was finally ready to take on the big players. And their strategy? It was simple, but brilliant. See, instead of trying to copy brands like Lay's, Balaji did the exact opposite. While Lay's was offering Western flavors, Balaji focused on local Indian tastes. They offered more chips and way less air in every single bag. And they expanded into all kinds of traditional savory snacks called namkeen, becoming a one-stop shop for Indian cravings.
Their marketing was pure genius. They took the #1 customer complaints about their biggest rival, all that air in the bag, and turned it into their slogan, less air, more wafers. It was this direct, devastatingly effective message that just clicked with everyone.
But the real secret weapon might just be their company culture. Chandubai truly believes that when you treat employees like their family, they give you their best. Get this, there are no stressful sales targets, and everyone, from a factory worker to a top manager, has his personal phone number. It's a culture built on trust, not on pressure. But Chandubai Virani's success isn't just measured in revenue. It's really defined by his principles and the legacy he's building. 2 key moments show this perfectly. When PepsiCo offered a staggering 4,000 crore rupees to buy Balaji, he flatly refused. He chose to keep his company independent and Indian. And then, when a fire destroyed his competitor Haldiram's factory, Chandubai offered his own facility to help them manufacture their products until they could rebuild. Wow. And this really brings us to a final question. Chandubai's story makes you wonder, what is true success, really? Is it the quick payoff of a massive sale, or is it building something of value that lasts, something guided by principle over profit? What do you think is more valuable?